All right, here we are. We're live now. How are you, Josie? How are you?
I'm really good. How are
good.
you?
We nearly didn't go live there. I don't know what happened. That was great.
Frightening,
all good. All good. How you been this week?
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Good.
How are you?
Fantastic. We got some great response from the news item last week. You know about the perception of business.
Oh, right. Yeah,
The
yeah,
Apprentice and Dragons Den. I wrote a blog about the perception of business is all wrong. People think it's this dog-eat-dog world, and it's not. And a lot of people are fed up with thinking that the Apprentice gives this impression that it's about a dog-eat-dog, and it's not about that at all. So that was a really good response last week.
Good, brilliant.
Fantastic. So what we've got news today, I know you've been looking at, there's this list about entrepreneurs and talking about the top 100 entrepreneurs and who's come out as number one. Who's that?
Victoria Beckham, surprisingly, has come out as number one.
Right, okay.
She's been listed as Management Today's top entrepreneur of the year. So really exciting and great news for women as well.
Right, okay. I think you just wrong with the camera. Can we just get this camera around? We'll put that around. One moment. No, it's all good. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. We're all good.
Perfect.
Sorry, this is live as it is. It's, what is it? Just gone 8:05. So it's all live. Yeah, I'm putting my blocks back. So Victoria Beckham.
That's right.
Was number one. Okay,
yes,
okay.
She's number one.
So what was the criteria that they judged these entrepreneurs on?
Sure. So she got marked on kind of three different areas. Strong sales. She increased the number of jobs. And her overall wealth has increased as well. So 3 areas she's done really well on, and she's reached the top of this chart of best entrepreneur, basically.
Wow. So in terms of her wealth, what has her wealth increased by or to?
Okay, so now she is worth an amazing £210 million. Can you believe that?
Wow. And that's not including David's stuff?
Nope, it's just Victoria Beckham.
I'm saying David like I know David. David Beckham,
That's her actual wealth, her worth.
Okay.
Another factor was her sales, and one of her handbags actually sells for £18,000.
Wow. Is that the one you bought?
Yeah, that's right. I wish.
Right, yeah. Wow. So she's increased her sales to the point whereby, and her personal wealth and the number of jobs. I think the number of jobs, people sometimes, if you've got a business, you need people to work. But creating that number of jobs is a fantastic. I know there were some stats about how many jobs were created in terms of the top 100 employees there.
Yeah, I mean, for Victoria Beckham, she increased her own sales force from 3 to 100 in 5 years.
Right.
But overall, the 100 entrepreneurs in the list increased their jobs overall to 61,000. So 100 entrepreneurs have made 61,000
Wow.
jobs.
So on average, each company has employed 61 people. And that's fantastic, and that's the part of the reason I want to create this channel, because to give people the encouragement that it doesn't matter about your background or anything, you can create a business and create jobs, and that's what it's about. That's great. Any other news around that?
Yeah, just to say that we don't just talk about the high-end fashion here. Another retailer also made it into the top 12.
Okay.
Poundland.
Poundland?
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
And Poundland, their actual wealth is now £200 million. So they're not that far behind Victoria Beckham.
Wow, okay. Well, that sort of shows 2 ends of the spectrum in terms of what people are after. And look, I don't know about you, I've been in a pound shop, I'm sure most people have been in a pound shop. But what it's about, they've identified a market there.
Yeah.
And serving that, and they've created some jobs. I know there was a feature today in the news about they've opened another store and created about 50, 60 jobs around that, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
great. So there's so who was that survey by?
That was Management Today magazine.
Management Today. So if you Google that Management Today magazine, you can see so Victoria Beckham was number 1. Be interested to see who the number 3 or 4 and 5 are, and it'll be interesting to see that.
There's a few surprises in there, so check it out.
Fantastic, great. And it's important what they measure it based on wealth, but number of employees and number of sales, and that's because. And one thing people think, when to talk about entrepreneurship, they often talk about, well, is money, to chase the money or make money a bad thing? Well, you're only going to make money if you offer value to the marketplace. And there's a massive debate, not just a debate, but a consensus around sort of new startup thing. Is it good to make money? Well, if you're only going to make money if you offer value to the market. And Victoria Beckham was obviously offering fantastic value.
Yeah, she's doing a brilliant job.
That's great, superb, great. So that's fantastic for that. That's really good news. So look forward to seeing you next week for more news.
Excellent.
Great, thank you very much.
Great, thanks.
So that was Josie there with the news this week. So that's interesting there. We talk about entrepreneurship, and Victoria Beckham might not be the obvious choice as number 1, but what she's done is created jobs. She's created her own personal wealth, and the sales that she's done. So that's fantastic. Right. So now we have our next guest, Zoe. Zoe is a highly respected social media international speaker. She spoke all around the world, and she talks about strategy around social media. So she specializes in social media strategy. A lot of social media companies miss out on that point. She's worked with many companies, brands, Fortune 500 companies, and make sure that they have a strategy, not only how to implement high profile campaigns, but get the maximum activity out of social media. So welcome, Zoe Cairns. She's coming up there. Hello, Zoe.
Hi, how are you?
You well?
Yeah, I'm really good.
Fantastic, fantastic. Not travelling from too far today?
No, only from Kent.
Only from Kent.
Yeah,
Well, Kent's
it's
not too bad, right? Good. So I know your company is ZC
Social
media, right? Okay, that's been on. Now we're going to talk about later about how the free do's and don'ts around social media and a bit about background. But before that, let me ask you, why is social media so powerful? Why has it become this sort of elephant to a certain extent where people think they have to do it, but don't do it? What's
everyone's getting involved in social media. It's a massive buzzword in the UK at the moment. You know, the Americans are maybe 6 to 9 months ahead of us, but everyone thinks, oh, I must get on there. I've really got to jump on and start tweeting and posting out on Facebook. So companies are just jumping on and just posting out there randomly and broadcasting, you know, their services and products, and pretty much doing it in the wrong way.
Right. Okay.
So they really need to think about what is their message. And, you know, you mentioned earlier about creating that value with Josie.
Yeah.
It's really, really important.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts around social media later on. So what is social media? Some people might think that's a great tool to advertise, but it's not an advertising tool, is it?
It's not
so
for advertising.
What is social media then?
It's a communication tool for us to communicate with existing clients, potential clients. Okay, so it's a way for them to start engaging with us and start to build a community online.
Right.
So what they need to think about is, rather than broadcasting, they need to start engaging with their audience in to help them amplify their message out there.
Right.
So it's all about building something called a know, like and trust. It's going to help the businesses really build a presence, get to be known, get to be liked, and then eventually trusted, that people will then start buying their products and their services rather than just throwing it in someone's face.
So there's a lot of businesses out there might be thinking, well, that's all very well, you know, I've got a business to run, I've got to sell, I haven't got time to start engaging and getting them to know, I've got something here and I want to tell as many people about it as possible. What's wrong with doing that?
I think it's wrong, because if you imagine, if you look at it as like a networking event, right? We go networking, and if I went up to you and I hadn't met you before and I said, Baiju, you've got to come on my workshop, you look at me and you think, well, I don't know your name, you haven't built rapport with me, I don't know, like, or trust you yet, so why would I do business with you?
Okay.
Now, when you network with someone, it takes a good 3 to 6 months for you to trust them, get to like them, you know, and then maybe refer someone to them to use their services. And it's exactly the same online. If people just keep trying to sell, people are actually going to start to unfollow you, disengage with you, and therefore you're just going to be like this really hard salesperson.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, people buy from people. Once you really build that rapport with people and really build that know, like and trust, it's in there, start to use your service. So time is a big thing for businesses. You know, we haven't got time to be sitting on Twitter all day. You know, we haven't got time to be sitting on Twitter right now, but we'd love to be engaging with people. But it's about making the use of the time that you do have and thinking about, okay, if I'm going to use social media, what do I really want to achieve from it? Do I want to build my brand? Do I want to build the presence of my brand and the awareness? Do I want to build a new community of people that talk about me? Or do I want to drive more traffic to the website? So it's thinking about, what do I really want to use it for? And then thinking of what time do you need in order to be able to achieve that goal.
So does that work for all businesses? You know, are there some industries and businesses that it just won't work? You know, you talk about community, you talk about engagement. Are there, or do you think it doesn't matter what industry, and you know, social media does have a role to play?
Well, if you think about every industry, right? If you think about, they all want to really build their presence and their awareness. Okay, they all want to build a community of people that talk about them, and they all want to drive more traffic to their website for more people to find out about their services and products. So there is a need for them to use it.
Right.
But actually, it's taking that 3 to 6 months to see if it actually works for them and whether they've actually got the people-to-people skills in order to deliver that message they're getting out there via social.
So you're saying that whatever industry, you need to give it 3 to 6 months.
You need to give it about 3 to 6 months to see if it works for you. See if you really can build your awareness online, because we can use a tool called Clout that Thomas Power talks about all the time.
Yeah, we all know Thomas,
See if we do build our influence. And it's not all about, vanity and, who's got the highest Clout score and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's about it shows us an indicator of how our influence is actually building online.
Okay.
And also our community. If our community builds and more people actually share our messages and share the valuable tips we put out there, if they are sharing, then we can see that the community are liking what we're saying. And if we're driving more traffic to the website, then people will come in to view our website, seeing what we're about, seeing what our services and products that we can offer.
Okay. Yeah. So it does make sense. So is social media the marketing thing you should do, or is it part of a whole marketing mix?
I believe it's part of a whole marketing mix. It can't just work on its own. So people will say, right, I've got this budget for the whole year, I'm just going to put it all in social media. It's the wrong way to do it. It's got to be part of a mix.
Right.
If you've got a mix of PR, and the great Katie King we know does PR, if you've got social media, you've got your advertising, Google pay-per-click, all those things together, it helps as part of your marketing mix to get your message out there. So make sure you've got a bit of everything in that mix, and it will help support the social media part as well.
So you talked about earlier about giving it 3 to 6 months, but can you get results overnight, or is this a long tail activity? Because a lot of people can say, well, okay, I can do an ad here, I can do something here. If I start using Twitter, Facebook, all the other tools, how long do I wait? Should I wait before I start getting a return on investment?
I believe that if you wait a good 3 to 6 months, you'll start to see a return on investment. So if you start to build a community and a presence and awareness online, when you do start to do Facebook ads or social ads after 3 to 6 months, you'll start to see the return on investment coming from those ads. Because people have built that know, like and trust. And then when they see your ad, they know you, they already like you, and hopefully trust you by then to then go and buy your product and your service. Right,
okay. So where should someone start? I know we're going to talk about some don'ts and do's later on, but if someone hasn't started, or they might have started, but they would sort of tweet randomly, couple of Facebook, and where should they start potentially getting a return on investment?
I believe it's going back to pen and paper and thinking about what do they actually want to achieve from this. What are they using social media for? Is it to build their presence and awareness? Is it to build a community online? Is it to drive more traffic? Is it for a campaign that they're doing or a big event that they're planning? So thinking about what do they actually want to achieve from it, and what results do they want to achieve?
So when you talk what you want to achieve, people might say, I just want more sales. I just want more business. Do they need to break it down before that?
Because we all must know in our business, and we have metrics about how many meetings we need, how many leads we need to make them the conversion. How much traffic do we need to push to the website in order to then that be an inquiry and that then to be a sale? So it's working back on the figures and making sure, well, if we want to make 3 leads a week from social media, how many people do we need to drive to the website? And then making sure that the website then converts and it's user friendly, etc. So it's thinking about the metrics of your business, and it all ties in with your business goals and objectives. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So is it different in different countries? I know you've done some speaking abroad. Does social media different in the UK? Does it in America or Asia? Or is social media quite similar in terms of how it works around the world?
I think when I went to India, we could see that lots of people were still broadcasting. They were just getting into the engagement part, which is amazing. So, but Asia is really up and coming. They're really getting to grips with it, and they're doing really well. And they're really doing well.
Sometimes you talk about people getting social media. When someone says someone gets social media, what does that actually mean?
It means that they're actually starting to engage, and they're not doing. Some people say it's B2B. It's P2P. It's people to people. It's about actually engaging with each other and bringing out your personality, making sure your social media's got a voice. That they build that know, like and trust quicker. Because if you really build that know, like and trust and build that rapport and start to build long-term business relationships, it's then that you see your return on investment. I believe businesses that have a short term is where the people that are just transactional, that just want a quick cash overnight, and that's it. It's very short-lived.
So I think the 3 most common platforms that people might be understand more is Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Now I think most people understand that LinkedIn is very much a business community, and people use Twitter. But Facebook, there's a debate. Is Facebook good for business? People, you often find about parties you're going on there and sort of checking into. But can it be used for business, and should that be part of someone's business social media strategy, Facebook?
Facebook's amazing for B2C. For B2B, it could also be quite relevant as well, but for B2C, it is brilliant. So with Facebook ads, we can be very specific who we're putting an ad in front of. And this might not be selling something for someone. It might be free content that you want to give away of value.
Right.
Like, for example, an ebook that has lots of value in there, but the ad could actually say, right, show this to all the females in Essex that are between the age of 25 and 45 that like Dragon's Den, that are holistic therapists or something like that. So you can be very specific.
Can I speak to that audience?
Yeah. And you know what? It costs so little when you get your target audience right. So Facebook ads are really powerful.
Right.
So they work. The other thing is, as an individual, say for as an entrepreneur, that you want to get this I'm an entrepreneur out there, you might actually look for different groups on Facebook where entrepreneurs are actually gathering and having conversations and start participating in those conversations. They get to know you as I'm an Entrepreneur TV and start to engage with you. So it's a really great community still for businesses. It's just because this reach has decreased on the Facebook page, which is where people's posts are not being seen as much as what they used to be, because Facebook bought out Facebook ads and they want you to now pay to increase your reach of how many people see it. That everyone's starting to move away from it. But there's still a really big community on Facebook, and there's so much business to be had on there as well.
Great. And before we move on to the sort of second part of the interview later on, before we finish this one, I often, people ask me, social media for me is an enabler. It enables conversation to take place, and the end goal is to meet someone. Would you agree around that? Because the push in the flesh is still really important.
Face-to-face is so important, because even my clients now, we book a meeting online, and then we'll say, right, let's meet face to face, and that's when you then really build that rapport and you build that business relationship.
Fantastic.
So I think it's a great tool to be able to meet people, that you never thought you would know, like my trip to India. I met them all online. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Great. And so before you meet them, because you've done so much engagement online, you virtually know them, and you think it's really great. That's fantastic. So there's some great insights there around how to use social media and some of the things in terms of what it is and what it's not. It's not a broadcasting tool; it's an engagement tool. So in the second part of Zoe's interview, we're going to talk about the 3 don'ts and the 3 do's around social media. So don't go away. We're going to come back to Zoe later on and talk about those some do's and don'ts around social media strategy that you can actually implement in your businesses tomorrow. So we'll talk about that. Great.
Brilliant.
So thanks for now, and we'll catch up with you later.
See you later.
Great. So that was Zoe there talking about what social media is. It's an engagement tool, not a broadcasting tool. It's a tool whereby you can start creating your own community. So when you've got your own community that are talking and engaging, they're going to get to know you, like you, and trust you, which means you can increase the number of traffics and hits to your website, which means you get more business. So it all makes sense. So don't go away. Later on in the show today, Zoe's going to talk about the 3 do's and the 3 don'ts around social media. Right, so next we've got a talk by Emily Contantis. Now, as I've mentioned before, I ran an event called Wanna Be an Entrepreneur Extravaganza last April. It's all about helping young entrepreneurs understand that the world of entrepreneurship is open up to them. It doesn't have to be someone who's got lots of money or lots of contacts. It's about anybody who wants to start a business. And I'm running the next event next January 16th, again in Essex, again for young entrepreneurs and sixth formers who want to start and looking to start their business in their own life. So Emily talks, she's a young entrepreneur, she's 25 herself. She started 3 businesses, she's on her 3rd business now. And she's going to talk about opportunity. How do you spot an opportunity? And then once you spot an opportunity, what do you do to take advantage of that opportunity? So here's Emily Contantis talking at the Wannabe Extravaganza last April about taking an opportunity. And she's going to talk about, every day there's opportunities around us, every day. But most of us can't see it because we've got certain filters on. And what Emily's going to talk about today is how you can look at opportunities, but not only look at them, take action and actually get it going. So, remember earlier, appreciation. Emily, welcome.
All about taking opportunities. As I am in the 16 to 25 age range, do I get a free gift? That's my first question. And I'll have one at the end. Baiju, I said, as I'm in the 16 to 25-year-old range, can I get the free gift at the end? Fantastic. Well, my name's Emily Constantis. Like Baiju said, this is my 3rd company. What should I say about myself? I'm a mother of 2. I'm married. I'm in my 3rd year of my law degree, and I'm going to be qualifying as a barrister. I've got this little script of notes so I can remember actually what to say and what not to say. How I took an opportunity. Well, I didn't do very well at school at all. In fact, I was expelled from school. I was really, really quite badly behaved. I was expelled from school, and in year 10, I had given up on everything. I was told I was going to be a toilet cleaner, or if I was lucky, I would, I don't know, sell drugs. That's what probably my year head said to me. I proved them all wrong. When I was coming into year 11, obviously I wasn't in school, I'd been expelled. I took a trip on a train up to London. I thought, I'm going to go and see the world, I'm going to experience things. I got talking to a few people through networking, through contacts, and I ended up landing myself a very, very large contract with the Premier League Football Association. Anybody know about football? Yeah, majority of people. I don't know a thing about football, that's probably why it worked. Had a conversation with somebody who said, you know, we need some safeguarding and child protection done for the Premier League clubs. Obviously, I'm only 16 now. I think I was 16. I can't do this. I don't have qualifications. I didn't even have a CRB. I didn't think I needed one at 16. But I knew I had the gift of the gab, and I took an opportunity, and I went out there, and I sold a concept. And I said, I can perform child protection and safeguarding training for the Premier League clubs, which I then did. I got the contract, got the money, and employed some staff, and was able to deliver the contract really, really well. So much so that during another networking event, whilst I was doing this Premier League stuff, I was approached by some schools over in West London who were pretty much blown away with the stuff we were doing within the academies. And they said, do you think you could come and deliver what you're delivering in the academies in school? I said, yep, I don't see why not. Obviously, I couldn't deliver what I could deliver in the academies, but an opportunity came up and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to take it. I don't care. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it. So I went out there, I went into the schools, and we started delivering in schools, helping year 10s and year 11s raise attainment, raise aspirations, get some belief that actually there is life after school, and it's really, really important that you get some kind of focus to get where you need to be. So I went into schools, and it was going really, really well. And then a couple of years in schools, I then got approached by another couple of people doing networking. I get approached by a lot of people in random places. I kind of end up in places at a good time. And was told by the job centres, can I deliver what I'm delivering in schools to adults? So I thought, yep, I can, although I knew I couldn't, but I knew I could probably employ people who could do that. So once again, I took that opportunity and I said, yes, I will, and I kind of then went over into the job centres and started working with adults. Today, I employ 40 people, I think. Yes, about 40 people, give or take. I think we've just taken on a few more apprentices, but 40 people. And we work with anybody aged 16 all the way to 66, from London to Peterborough, helping them get where they want to be in terms of, it could be employment, it could be losing weight, it could be getting a car, just getting them a goal so they can start on that journey, wherever that journey may lead them. I've got a couple of little stories I'd like to tell you. One about a girl called Stephanie. Stephanie came on a course with us, and she wanted to design American burgers. Has everybody here seen that film, Man vs. Food? Not film, that documentary that he does? She was obsessed with that. I mean, she wore the t-shirt, it looked like she was selling for him, she was that obsessed with him. And she said, I want to design these American burgers. Now, she had been told she can flip them, she can fry them, she can work in McDonald's, she can eat them, but she's not going to design them. Now, she needed one person to believe in her and take her seriously, and that's what we did. We believed in her, we took her seriously, and we got her, through networking, we got her a contract with the Hard Rock Cafe in London. Last May, they flew her over to Chicago to do an American burger design course. I don't know what you call them, but they're really cool. They spin and everything, these little burgers that she does. But she's now living her dream. I know probably designing American burgers isn't everybody's dream, but it was her dream, and we took her seriously. And I think it's all about being able to have the dream and then find the opportunity to be able to then take that dream. Because I'm sure everybody in this room here has got a business idea that they want to pursue, or they just want to find out a bit more, and it's about taking that opportunity. I mean, there's lots and lots of people here to talk to. Go and network and talk to people. Make your own opportunities. That's going back to my notes here. Another story as well I'd like to talk about. I was on a business trip a couple of months ago and I met somebody, and his story's really, really inspired me, and I actually thought I'd bring it here today and share it with you. It was a guy. He was a bit of a criminal, a bit of a villain. He was doing drugs. He had numerous marriages that had failed, children that he didn't talk to, children that didn't want to talk to him. His life was going nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and he got into drugs really, really badly. So him and his mate didn't have anything else to do, decided to get into a car and go and do a drug steal. It took a turn for the worst, and actually the guy's friend ended up shooting the drug dealer. The police came, he got arrested. So this guy is now no job, going to go to prison, no children, no wife. His life is at an absolute loss. And he's thinking, well, you know, I'm in prison, I've had it, I'm done. In prison, there was a guy who tried to escape, a really, really seriously nasty guy. And this other guy took quite offence to it, and he said, you know what, he caught them, and he took him back to the prison guard. The prison guard turned around to this guy and said, you know what, you're really good at this, you could actually make a little bit of a business. And that was just his business idea, it started from then. And I'm sure you all now know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Dwayne Chapman, the Dog the Bounty Hunter. Does everybody know about Dog the Bounty Hunter? That's how his story started. And by talking to him, if he can, I mean, he was in prison, he was absolutely at the bottom, and he can turn it all around. I just think it's an example that there is hope for absolutely everybody, that if you have an idea, you have that business idea, you have to really, really push it and take that opportunity like Dog did and like other people have. I have got my box here, which you're probably now wondering what is in my box. And it's all about thinking outside the box. So at Aspire, my company, we try and do a lot about getting people to think about outside the box, at what is it that they're not doing that could actually make that opportunity for them. A little story before I go on to that was a guy called Paul, who we worked with. He was a really, really good French pastry chef. I don't know what you call those French pastries because I'm really bad with some fancy French word. But he made these fantastic little French tarts, and he brought them in to one of the courses that we were running. And he was like, this is what I want to do, this is my passion. I want to make French tarts. I want to make it in some really, really high hotels in Cambridge. Cambridge is where he lived. But the trouble was, Paul was living in a hostel. He was actually homeless, and he didn't really have use to a good kitchen. So I said, Paul, can you make your French tarts? And he said, yes, I can make them. I'm really, really good at them. So we thought outside the box. We thought, how are we going to get people to buy into this guy? So we went to Belgique. Everybody here know Belgique? Yeah? The cafe? It's like a little French cafe. Well, we went to Belgique and we bought 20 little French tarts from Cafe Belgique. We boxed them up and we sent them with his CV wrapped on every single box to the head chef of every hotel in Cambridge. Within 48 hours, Paul had been offered something like 10 jobs, and he accepted one within 72. Now, Paul was over 50. He didn't really know where he was going to go, how he was going to start, who's going to look at his CV. But he thought outside the box. He did something different, and he created an opportunity for himself by doing something a little bit different and something that wasn't done and hadn't been done before. Now, I've got my box of tricks here, if I can open it. Okay. At Aspire, we do things a little bit differently, and it's all about getting people thinking about doing something different, like the stories I've just said. So this is all about taking an opportunity. Now you're probably thinking, why have I got a box camera? Does anybody remember these? Anybody know what these are? Box brownies, I think they were the first set of cameras. So this is 1925, rough, give or take. I'm really bad at history, so I'm going to warn you all now. If I get the dates wrong, just shove your hands up and say they're wrong. These came around. This is about taking opportunity. Would I have been a photographer? Well, probably not, because I'm a woman, and probably not because before these there weren't really any cameras around. This came out. This bit of technology came out, and people could become photographers. They can go and take photos of babies. They can do a lot with it, and this basically created an opportunity for work. Moving forward a little bit, does anybody remember these? I don't, I'm too young for these, but I know my parents do. This was a bit of a broken one. These came out. More opportunities were created for work. These weren't just about, you know, people making music, putting them onto these little, they're not called CDs, whatever they're, there we go, records, don't even know what they're called. But it's all about people, the manufacturers, people who made them, the designing of these little covers. This created opportunities. So as the times are moving forward, the more technology that's being created, more opportunities are coming around. This. Now, this would have actually, this now would be your Ryanair luggage allowance, probably. It is that heavy, but I remember one of these. My granddad used to have one of these. Everybody remember these? This little bit of technology created so many opportunities for people. Through this, you could do bar mitzvahs, you could do weddings, you could do christenings. You've got a whole industry that came around with this. You've been framed. Who knows about You've Been Framed? Yep. Because of this bit of technology, there was all the marketing that came around with You've Been Framed. The little cassettes, people will then, every 5 minutes, your child falls over, bangs their head, quickly get the video out, not check they're all right because we want to make the £200. So all of this came out. This technology is creating opportunities. So once again, as time progresses, more opportunities are being created. Now this is not a brick, it's not a house phone, it is actually a mobile phone. The mobile phones that came out, how many opportunities did these create? You could take your work with you wherever you go. You could be on well, not on a train because you don't really get signal, but you would if you're on the Stansted Express. So you could be there on the telephone doing your work calls. You could be I don't even think these had a text, but eventually they had text. But you can, all these opportunities that were created by it, you could have your office in your pocket. You know, later on when the emails were being able, you could go and work abroad. If this didn't come around, if this opportunity didn't arise, people wouldn't have the opportunities to do different types of work. Plumbers could then work all around because they could take this with them. Carpenters, lots and lots of different opportunities arose just from this bit of technology. These. Anybody remember this? You know, put it on here. It wasn't just your little jog. It wasn't about just the cassette. This was about everything that came with the cassette. This was about your wristbands, your head thing, you put on your lycras, you go for a jog, and a whole fashion industry, the Reebok fashion industry, pretty much all came from this bit of technology. So through this, opportunities were created which enabled people to get jobs, think of business ideas that probably they'd never even thought of had this not come out. Now, it's not a bit of silk, I'm pretending this is graphene. Future, graphene. They're saying that they're going to be creating mobile phones which are going to be created from graphene, which, well, they'll be this thin. But it's opportunities. And I'm here talking about it today. In the future, so many people will have other jobs, other business ideas that will come just from graphene. Now, you're probably thinking, where am I going with this? It's all about taking an opportunity and thinking outside the box. So I would like, if I could, 2 people to come up and take an opportunity here with me today.
So that was Emily talking about opportunities, and I don't know, do you remember vinyl? Or are you too young?
Not really.
You're too young, oh God, I remember vinyl. I remember buying my first 7-inch all those years ago. I won't say who it was, but anyway, but it's, you know.
Stevie Wonder.
No, it wasn't still that old. It was actually, if you really want to know, it's Adamant. Prince Charming, that was my first 7-inch that I bought. So tweet it with user hashtag. Tell me what your first 7-inch thing is.
Yeah.
Tweet it with the EntTv hashtag. But it was interesting what she's talking about opportunity there, because there is so much opportunity around, but people can't see them, can they?
They don't realise it
No.
when it comes in front of them.
Yeah. So talking about opportunity, how did you get into this social media game? What's your background?
It was a really big different thing that I was doing before. I mean, I met you probably back in 2008 at Chelmsford Property Meet. I was a mortgage broker,
right,
and I worked for a guy called Doug Ponsford, and he said to me, right Zoe, I can't keep giving you leads, you've got to go out and get your own.
Right.
So I discovered networking and also Facebook. Now Facebook was, back then you didn't have business pages.
No.
It was purely where people going out on their nights out and falling into the gutter in fancy dress outfits.
Yeah.
And back then I was helping property investors build their portfolio, so I was providing buy-to-let mortgages. So I went onto Facebook, I typed in property investors in the search bar in Facebook, just like you would in Google, and all these groups of investors appeared, and I started to join all the groups and engage in conversation. That's how I started to get into it. And then in 2010, obviously the recession hit, really did
property
hit.
changed a lot, yeah.
Even though we had the leads, the lenders just didn't want to lend, and I started to take it really personally, because I had to tell the client at the end of the phone, actually, Mr. Lender don't want to lend. So I decided to actually go out on my own and start my own business, EntTv Social Media, and that was in February 2010.
Wow.
And which is 4.5 years on now. And that's what I did. I went and started EntTv Social Media. I then discovered LinkedIn in 2011. Was commissioned in July 2011 to go to Poland to speak to European Parliament and Government, which then accelerated my career, because then people thought, actually, she's not just the mortgage broker that she was a few years back. It then
how did you get that gig? The one
from
in the
LinkedIn.
What were you doing on LinkedIn?
What was I doing? I filled in my profile. So I actually filled in my profile and put all the keywords of social media speaker, social media trainer in. And this guy from Belgium approached me and said, I want to speak to you. And my mum said, oh, it's like the interpreter, you've got to be careful. She's
What,
quite
the film
sceptical.
interpreter?
Yeah.
All right.
She thought I was going to go over and be kidnapped or something. And and so I called this guy, and he said, I'd love to fly you across to Poland, Warsaw, Poland, and we'd like you to speak. Anyway, as you do, a month before, I thought I'd better actually put a presentation together and think about what type of audience they're going to be. And when I looked at the programme, I was going to a roundtable conference of over about 100 people. But the main people there were the European Parliament and Government. I've got fantastic testimonial on my LinkedIn profile, and it just all went from there.
Have you been back since or anything?
Not been back. I've been to Amsterdam. I spoke at the Social Media Strategy Summit. I've just been back from India.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
August,
about that.
And
Yeah.
off to Singapore in April.
Oh, wicked. What's the Singapore one?
It's Digital Market Asia, the same thing that they did in India, which was the Social Media Strategies thing that they did, which I'm then going back to do in in February, called Social-thon.
Fantastic, great. So you got into social media by using it yourself for your previous occupation and family work, and obviously the recession hit, so property wasn't as lucrative as it was then. And then you create your own business around social media. Fantastic, great. Okay, now I promised we were going to talk about the 3 do's and the 3 don'ts of social media. Let's start with the don'ts. What's don't number 1 in social media?
Don't just jump on there and start tweeting and just posting out on Facebook. You need to make sure you've got a social media strategy. Why are you going to be using social media? And what is it that you really want to achieve? And does it align with your business goals?
Right,
so
okay.
it's starting with pen and paper and thinking, why are we going to use it? We're going to use it to build our awareness. We're going to use it to build a new community, drive more traffic to our website. Why are we using it?
Yeah, so know why you're doing social media. What's the strategy behind it? Because like I said earlier, in the previous part, we might want sales, but there might be a stage before that that will be suitable for your business and industry that you want to do. So like you say about creating awareness or creating a community, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Understand why you're doing what you're doing, tweeting, Facebook.
And then making sure you measure it at the end of each month, which is really important.
How do you measure?
They can use different tools. So for example, if one of your goals was building your awareness and your presence online, we would maybe use Clout as a tool to be able to measure our influence. Is it increasing each month, or make sure it's not decreasing? Because if it is decreasing, well, why is it decreasing?
That's Clout with a K, K-L-O-U-T. Yes, if you Google Clout with a K, that's like it's a quite, it's not like the Bible, if you like, but it's a good indicator, about how influential you are online. So that's a great one there. Okay, so the first don't is don't just jump in. Have a strategy. Don't number 2.
Is don't presume that your company needs it, because everyone else is jumping on there. I say to companies, well, why do you want to go on social media? And say, because everyone else is on there.
Yeah, okay.
And I want to jump on there as well. And that's not a good enough excuse to be using it. Again, going back to the strategy part, making sure you've got a strategy as to why you're going to use it.
Okay.
It's really, really important. Don't presume that every company actually needs it, because it might be that you're doing enough online activity via pay-per-click, via Google and stuff like that already, that you might not actually want to use social media. It might not actually be part of your goals or objectives.
Is that realistic though? If someone is using pay-per-click or any some sort of Google awareness, or whether they've got a website, shouldn't social media just be part of it?
I think so. I think it's all part of your marketing mix. I think
Right.
if you can try and fit social media in there and start engaging with a community and driving more traffic to your website and really using it as a tool to really build awareness, I think it's going to be fantastic for your business in really showing the personalities in the teams and bringing out that people-to-people skills.
Great. So, and the third don't in social media?
Don't be irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Don't be irrelevant.
Yeah, don't be irrelevant.
Irrelevant, okay.
Yeah,
So give
irrelevant,
an example?
I'll give you an example. Don't tag people into tweets with their Twitter handle, which is your Twitter name.
Right.
Don't tag them into to tweets that are not relevant to them.
Right,
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so, for example, if someone was promoting an event and they thought just because I've got a lot of followers or I engage with my community that my followers would actually notice that tweet, don't tag me into that tweet just because of that reason.
I see. So make it relevant. So
Yeah.
a lot of people might be sort of jumping on someone else's bandwagon, if
And
you like.
even hashtag, it might be
Right.
EntTv.
Yeah.
There's lots of people think that everyone's engaging in your hashtag tonight, that they're
Yeah.
going to actually bombard it with broadcasting
Right. I know you get that
messages.
sometimes when there's an event going on or a big conference
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they use a hashtag there, you might get irrelevant
Yeah.
tweets on there because
Yeah.
it positions you as someone who's just trying to spam.
Just spamming, yeah.
that's the equivalent
It's
of
not
spam,
a good
isn't it?
etiquette at
Right,
all.
okay.
And I find it on Facebook today. I was actually tagged in a picture with sunglasses in it.
Yeah,
And
there's
I
a
was
lot of
like,
spam.
why? And I just sent the person a private message just saying, why have you tagged me in this message? You know,
Yeah.
it's spamming someone. Just
Okay.
be very careful.
Because the thing about social media, there's this sort of unwritten rule that don't do anything on social media that you wouldn't do in front of your mum or in a
Well,
public place.
imagine you being at an exhibition and you've got your banner up and I come and put loads of post-its over it about my message. It's exactly the same
That's the
thing.
same. Yeah, that's the same thing. You sort of hide just because
Yeah,
someone's
yeah.
watching that banner, you want to hijack that,
Yeah.
and it's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, so so don't be irrelevant. Okay, so they're the three don'ts. The first don't is don't just jump in.
Yeah.
The second one is what's the second one? I forgot.
Don't presume.
Don't
you-
presume you need it.
Yeah.
And don't be irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what are the three do's? So if someone's thinking, okay, they're using social media, and they're doing okay, or someone who hasn't really started it and thinking, well, I want to wait for the perfect moment, if you like, where there isn't such a perfect moment. What are the three do's? What's do number one?
Put your social media strategy plan together.
Right.
So think about what you're trying to achieve,
Okay.
whether it's building your awareness, your community, driving more traffic. Think about your target audience. So who are they? What type of person are they? Age group, gender, interests, etc. Because then that will help you decide what social media profiles you're going to use.
Okay.
Think about your competitors, what they're doing. Do like a competitor analysis and do real research and find out
Okay.
what they're doing. Think about your key centres of influence that might help you amplify that message.
Okay.
So it's all about planning, making sure that you've got that plan, why you're going to use it, and at the end of each month, making sure you measure your results as to what you've achieved each month, and then you tweak it and going forward. So it's a bit of that analysis. So you're not making the same mistakes over and over again and not getting the results that you really need. So planning is very important.
So it's like any business needs a marketing plan. You're saying, well, there's no different to have a social
Yeah.
media plan.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Is one of the reasons for that because if you don't have a plan, it can suck a lot of time up?
Yeah, what's that quote? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's also this element of it sucks a lot of time. You can be
Yeah.
tweeting and
Doing
retweeting
so much
and doing
it's
so
not
much.
actually getting anything
And
back
that's
from
why you
it.
say it's good to have a plan
Yeah.
around social media. Okay, so that's the first do. Make sure you've got a strategy
Yeah.
plan. So what's the second do?
Content planning.
Okay, interesting.
Plan
Go
your
on.
content. Because some people just randomly post stuff out. There's no sort of, what's the word?
Strategy.
There's no strategy to it.
Right.
My belly making noises.
Okay.
And there's no plan to it. So, for example, if you actually said to you, if you had a content calendar that says, right, on a Monday I'm going to post news, on a Tuesday I've got an offer, people then expect that sort of thing from you, rather than you
Right.
trying to do an offer every day, a tip every day, a bit of news every day. It becomes too much. So planning is really important with your content as well, making sure that content's really, really good value.
Okay, and should that be always your own unique content?
No, it can be your own unique content. So you might actually put out your own blog on a Monday, but on a Wednesday you share content from an industry leader within your subject of the latest cutting edge news.
Right,
A bit
okay.
like you were sharing news earlier about Victoria Beckham.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So,
Yeah.
who's in that same marketplace, and so you become a source of good information that people are going to come back
Yeah.
to you first. So content marketing, content planning is the second do,
Because
yeah.
otherwise you'll just randomly think, right, what can I post today? Whereas if you're planning in advance, you've then got a really good calendar you can go by.
That goes back to the first one, because you talk about knowing who your customer is.
Yes.
So if you know your customer, you should be able to know what they like.
What they like, yeah.
So you can create content based on what they like. Is that how that works?
Totally agree, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, and what's the third do?
Engage. So don't just post thinking that your audience are going to know, like and trust you. You need to be able to engage with them as well. And what that means, even though you're posting out, if you get a response, a question back, people share your content, make sure you engage with your community, say thank you. You know, answer their questions, make a conversation to really get involved in that community and show that you're not just a robot there posting stuff out. You are there to engage with them as well.
And is that the same for whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn?
Yeah, all of them.
Right, okay.
Like with LinkedIn, we've got LinkedIn groups. If you put a discussion in a group and someone asks you a question back or says it's a really good article, you know, say thank you.
Okay.
Show them that you're there to contribute information and value, and you're also there to actually have conversations with them as well.
So if there's a company out there who may not have started social media and they think, okay, I want to engage with my audience, what kind of things could they start doing, you know, tomorrow if they like?
Asking open questions. So, for example, it could be like you just asked a question earlier to say, come and share what was the first vinyl that you bought. That's a really good open question to get that engagement. It doesn't have to be business related. It could be something similar that, you know, something that your audience would love to talk about.
Okay. So that's interesting what you say there. A lot of businesses might be thinking, well, do I talk business all the time? Where is that line between talking business and, you know, talking about social stuff and not seen as like chitty-tatty, but actually making relevant? Where's that line?
I think it depends on what the industry you're in. So when you think about, for example, Dragon's Den, and they're selling soap products and stuff like that, you might then bring in a question about that particular.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, you know, something accountants always comes up, right? So let's talk about accountants. So what percentage of if an accountant wants to use social media and really use it to the point whereby they're getting good return on investment, what percentage should be business related, how to do your tax return, what you shouldn't do, do's and don'ts, and social stuff?
With social stuff, it could be down to the interest that their particular target audience is actually interested in. So, for example, if they're targeting business, if they're just focusing on businessmen, for example, you might think that they start to talk about golf or football because they know that their audience would want to talk about that. They wouldn't necessarily talk about, you know, what cocktail or beer do you prefer down the pub, because that would then maybe get the wrong type of engagement. So it's just thinking about that interest of person, because they might actually go and actually do a networking event on a golf course and tweet about that. So it's bringing in a little bit of social and a business as well.
So it's going back to understanding who your customer is.
Definitely.
So if your demographic,
And Facebook have got this fantastic tool now, Facebook Graph Search,
Okay.
where it's a new tool. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go and sign up for it. But it actually allows you to go and have a look at the people that have liked your business page or your audience. You can actually say interests of people who like my business page, so see social media. And it shows me all the interests of the people that have liked my page.
So what's that Facebook graph?
Graph search.
So if they go
if you go in Google, if you're already logged into Facebook, you then go onto another tab, google.com, type in Facebook Graph Search. It'll take you to a page where you can join the waiting list for Facebook Graph Search.
Right.
And then they're going to activate it. So when you go to your search bar in Facebook, it will be different. It will say hashtags, people who you can put friends who like nearby restaurants.
Okay.
And it can show you what restaurants they've gone to.
Right.
People who like my photos, all those sorts of things. It's really, really in depth.
So you can use that data to design the kind of Facebook ads and target
definitely.
audiences.
That's what it's there for. Custom audiences.
Okay, so Facebook, you know, there's a lot of people saying, you know, LinkedIn's there for business, but I know Facebook for business is in the mix and it's going out there. That will potentially take over a lot of the business activity and networking that LinkedIn is doing at the moment.
And it's so cheap if you know your target audience well and you know those interests. You can really get down to specific target audience and really make use of your money on there.
So what's your take on Facebook ads? If you understand should the ad be an ad where you want people to engage or promoting the product?
Engage.
So not saying I'm selling this widget?
No. If you're giving something away, like a free ebook, if you've got something that you could really get engagement on, the more you get engagement on that post, because Facebook have got an algorithm, obviously don't want to give you too much jargon, because they've got an algorithm, you've got to really get them with some engagement posts that then Facebook algorithm says, right, they've got lots of engagement on this post, that the next post they post, I'm going to show most of their fans.
Right.
So then they show the posts that's you selling.
So what a lot of people understand is you've got Facebook, talking about Facebook, we went to an algorithm, that's sort of it's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's, they're measuring your activity, your audience's activity.
Yeah.
So you've got to not manipulate, but so you've got to be clever about how you present your ads to get people wanting to come to you, so they want to come to you, not what you say, and then you're going to get more engagement later on.
Because if you keep selling, what the people will do, there's now like a little drop down arrow at the top right of your post. People can click on there and say, I don't want to see this anymore. And if you do that, Facebook algorithm is going to say, actually, people got really fed up with your post. Therefore, I'm not going to show any more.
Yeah, and that's what it'd be the same for Google AdWords, isn't it? It'd be the same.
I'm not too sure. I'm not an expert on Google AdWords.
Okay. So in social media, in terms of Facebook, that's how it works there. Okay, great. Right, great. Some really great insights there. So in terms of the 3 do's, make sure you do have a strategy, a plan around that. Make sure you do, what's the second do? Content. Make sure you got good content, whether it's your content or other people's content to send out there. And the third was engage.
Yes.
Make sure you engage. Social media is not a broadcasting tool. It's about engaging and getting people involved, which is great. Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Let's predict the future in 5 years' time. If we were having a conversation in 5 years' time, give me your take on what the world of social media will be like and what people will be doing.
Oh wow, I think it's going to become more social. Businesses are going to have a dedicated person, like a social media champion in their business, that's going to completely be the sole person running the Twitter account. Because I just believe that if too many people are trying to do it in businesses, it's going to get too confusing, too many voices. It just needs one voice. I think it's going to become more private. Privacy settings are going to become really key.
Wow, okay.
I really do think it's going to become more private, more of a private world.
Okay.
I feel
but lots of engagement.
Yeah, I feel lots of engagement, but I feel that chatting rooms, like private, like groups, are really going to become a thing where it is more private, where people are getting worried about the privacy.
Okay, and more conversations happening.
More conversations.
So if you guys got full circle, before sort of the age of the internet or even social media, there was conversations in community groups and coffee shops and stuff. Yeah. That's happening. It's all going full circle. If you like.
I still think Facebook's going to be here as well.
I don't think Facebook is going anywhere, right? Especially who owns it.
I think it's an amazing tool.
It is an amazing tool. It's fantastic. Well, it's been fascinating talking to you, Zoe.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Been really good again. Thank you so much.
That's
That's really good. So that's Zoe today talking about social media strategy and stuff. Now, before we go, if people want, they like what you say, what's your website? What's the?
It's www.zcsocialmedia.com.
So zcsocialmedia.com, and the website will be on the credits at the end of the website, and we'll put that on the comments on the YouTube. So before we go, any tweets? Zoe's on the back there. Any tweets we got coming in? No. So we've got a few things. So we've got. I think it's late in the day. What happened last week is we've got quite a few viewers watching, but the viewers we had afterwards are enormous. So because the recording's available afterwards, people in their own time look at that. So it'd be great. So that's all from today in terms of I'm an Entrepreneur TV. With great insight from Zoe. We had heard from Emily earlier on around taking opportunity, and the second part of her interview where she actually gives you an insight of how to take an opportunity will be shown next week's show. So that's all from me, all from Zoe, and all from Josie. And until the next time, have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.